One day, a rich man needed help, but when a poor woman stopped to help him, he learned a valuable lesson. A long time ago, in a city not too far away, lived a rich man named Michael Harris. Michael was the CEO of a successful tech company and was known throughout the city for his intelligence and business acumen. With a net worth of several $1,000,000, Michael lived a luxurious life, always surrounded by the best cars, the most expensive watches, and the finest suits. But no matter how much money he spent, he still felt empty inside. One Saturday morning, Michael decided to treat himself to a nice drive in his brand-new Lamborghini Aventador. As he sped down the highway, feeling the wind through his hair, he felt a sense of freedom and happiness that he hadn't felt in a long time. However, his joy was short-lived as suddenly the car began to overheat and smoke started to pour out from under the hood. Panicked, Michael pulled over to the side of the road and turned on his hazard lights, not knowing that this was just the beginning of his troubles. As Michael waited for help to arrive, he noticed a rusty old pickup truck approaching him at a slow speed. At first, he thought it was going to pass him by, but suddenly the truck stopped right next to him and a woman got out. Michael was confused as to why the truck had stopped and even more surprised when the woman walked towards him. He had expected a tow truck or a mechanic, but instead was met by a woman wearing a dirty flannel shirt and grease stains on her hands and face. Michael was startled by the appearance of the woman, but he quickly composed himself and asked her if she could help him. The woman looked at Michael's luxury sports car with a mix of curiosity and pity and replied that she was a mechanic. This only made Michael more impatient as he wanted his car fixed as soon as possible. He tried to explain the situation to the woman, but she interrupted him, saying that she knew exactly what was wrong with his car. The woman walked around the car and examined it closely while Michael watched anxiously. After a few moments, she pointed to the battery and said that it was the problem. Michael couldn't believe it. He had taken his car to the dealership just a few days before, and they had told him that there was nothing wrong with it. Could this poor woman really fix his car? He was skeptical, but desperate, so he agreed to let her try. To Michael's surprise, the woman was able to fix his car within minutes. He couldn't believe it. Not only had she diagnosed the problem correctly, but she had also fixed it faster than any mechanic he had ever seen before. As Michael paid the woman for her services, he couldn't help but feel a sense of shame. Here he was, a rich man who prided himself on his success and wealth, and he had been outsmarted and outperformed by a poor woman. But the story doesn't end there. Before leaving, the woman handed Michael a card and told him to call her if he ever needed a mechanic again. She then got into her truck and drove away, leaving Michael standing there in shock. Michael couldn't understand how someone who looked so poor could be such a skilled mechanic. He decided to call the woman the next day and asked her to come to his house to fix one of his other cars. When she arrived, he introduced himself and explained that he was the owner of a successful tech company. He thought that the woman would be impressed by his wealth and status, but she remained calm and polite. She didn't seem to care who he was or what he had. As the woman worked on his car, Michael tried to make conversation, but she was focused on her task at hand. He noticed that she had a wedding ring on her finger, but it looked old and worn out. He couldn't help but ask her about it, and she replied that it was a gift from her late husband. Michael was surprised by her calm and gentle nature. He had expected her to be bitter or resentful towards him, considering that he had been arrogant and rude to her before, but she didn't hold a grudge. Instead, she was kind and polite. As the woman finished fixing his car, Michael felt a sense of admiration towards her. He realized that her skills and knowledge were far more valuable than his money and status. He thanked her for her help and paid her for her services. But it wasn't just money that he gave her. He also offered her a job working for him as a mechanic, promising her a high salary and benefits. Michael was shocked by her response. He had expected her to jump at the opportunity to work for him, but she politely declined the offer. She explained that she was happy with her current job and didn't want to change careers. Michael couldn't believe it. He had offered her a life-changing opportunity, but she had turned it down without hesitation. He felt disappointed and confused, but respected her decision. As the woman finished fixing his car, Michael felt a sense of admiration towards her. He realized that her skills and knowledge were far more valuable than his money and status. He thanked her for her help and paid her for her services. But it wasn't just money that he gave her. He also offered her a job working for him as a mechanic, promising her a high salary and benefits. However, the woman turned down his offer, explaining that she was happy with her current job and didn't want to change careers. Michael was surprised by her response but respected her decision. He continued to call the woman whenever he needed a mechanic, and their friendship grew with each visit. He learned that her name was Tasha Brown, and she was a single mother who used her mechanic skills to support herself and her son. One day, Michael was struck by an idea. He decided to use his wealth and status to help Tasha and other women like her. He set up a foundation in Tasha's name, which provided training and funding to women in underserved communities who wanted to become certified mechanics. Tasha was honored and grateful for Michael's generosity, but she was also surprised. She had never asked for his help, and she wasn't sure why he was doing this for her. Michael explained that he had learned a valuable lesson from Tasha. He realized that true wealth was not measured by money or status, but by the kindness, humility, and generosity of a person. He saw in Tasha qualities that he had been missing in his own life, and he wanted to help her share those qualities with other women. Together, Michael and Tasha worked to establish the foundation and train the first group of women mechanics. The program was a huge success, and soon women from all over the country were benefiting from it. Tasha was thrilled to see how her life and the lives of other women were being transformed through the foundation. 1 year after the foundation was established, Michael and Tasha stood together at the opening of a new community garage that had been funded by the Tasha Brown Initiative. Tasha's son held her hand as she spoke to a crowd of supporters and beneficiaries of the foundation. Among them was Michael, who smiled proudly at the progress that had been made. In that moment, Tasha knew that she had found her purpose. She had gone from being a single mother struggling to make ends meet to being an inspiration and role model for other women. She had discovered that helping others was the most fulfilling thing she could do, and she was grateful to Michael for showing her that path. As the event drew to a close, Michael approached Tasha and thanked her for everything she had taught him. He admitted that he had been a fool to judge her based on her appearance and said that he was lucky to have her as a friend. Tasha smiled and replied that he was the one who had shown her the importance of helping others. Together, they had made a positive impact on the world, and that was the greatest wealth they could have. And so the story of Michael and Tasha became a legend in the community, a reminder that true wealth is measured not by money or status, but by the kindness and generosity of the heart.